Namaste and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. Sat is an ancient Sanskrit root word meaning truth, and Sattology means science of truth or study of truth. It's a combination of Latin or Greek plus Sanskrit root word. Words are always made on roots, not made on words. Words don't make words. If you words, when two words are joined, you have to put a hyphen sign in the middle. But if you want to conjoin the two words, including multiple languages, you can do that. Etymology is that science. Then you have to work on the roots. Okay. Mythology, on the other hand, myth is a Sanskrit root word which gives rise to words like mithya, which is a lie. So myth dhatu or Sanskrit root word means a fake lie or imagination. Mythology means a study or science of fake lie imagination. It's an irony that the Western academic scholars call Jewish history as mythology, call Islamic history as mythology, and the word originally was coined for Hindus of India because they could not challenge their brains. So they called the entire history as mythology. And when an Indian American quotes mythology, that my history is mythology, it pains my heart. I gift you a new word, Sattology. So when you refer to Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Puran, call it Sattology, not mythology. I have a very, very famous guest today. She is the royal system was abolished in India but retained in UK. That's another discussion sometime later. But she is a princess of Travancore, 12th in line, and she has written wonderful articles. She speaks very well. She has come on our show many times. She has come on many other shows many times and speaks with a passion. And if you all remember, she sang a srotra for us some months back, and you all loved it. It was a very popular show during that time. So without delay, let us welcome Smt Lakshmi Bayi Nalapat.
Thank you, Aditya, for having me on your show. And namaste to all the guests. I have a suggestion. After COVID, make India your first point of tourism or departure. Come and see us and then decide. Keep an open mind.
No, well, it is a royal invite, so better take it. So if you want, if you love the word royalty, you are meeting a royalty of India, one of the royalties of India. And
You're making it sound like a command and a threat, Aditya. I meant it as an invitation, open, warm invitation, because that's what India has been always.
The state of Kerala has a unique distinction in the history of the world. The first time any European power was defeated in a direct military battle was done by a king from Kerala, Marthandavarma, who was ruling Kerala state on behalf of Padmanath Swami. And this is the first history from the Kerala, the history which is very well recorded in the Dutch history also, that we learned a lot. So he was so kind that he defeated them and then offered the defeated general a position in his own army. And then most of the wars against the Portuguese was fought by this defeated general for Marthandavarma. He built up his armies to defeat the Portuguese and the Spanish attacks. So with that background, I would like to start with this. Most of the times we as Hindus are not even aware of our own history, our own culture and traditions. And we want to teach to the whole world, but we are not aware. Sometimes an American has to tell them, and we wait for validation from an American that, yes, you are speaking something right. And I was reading your article, and from there it is coming from. Why do you think this kind of weakness of mind is there?
I think this is due to a lot of factors. One, the simplest thing is that we have no confidence in ourselves. And when we have no confidence in ourselves, we are always looking for help from other people. We are looking for validation. It's like if I cannot walk, okay, I have a problem with my leg, I will need a crutch to move. So now Indians have, unfortunately, we've become such that we need crutches to move. And the tragedy of the universe, I would say, is that each crutch, like if you bring it down to a medical analogy, you can say that one brand of crutch uh, says one thing, another brand of crutch says the other thing. So we are never standing on our own 2 feet with our spine straight and our eyes looking straight into the other's eyes. And that is what has happened. And take yoga. You're absolutely right, Aditya. Yoga has become so popular in India because the Americans are doing yoga. Vegetarianism is becoming popular. It's not as popular as yoga is, but it is becoming popular because Americans are becoming vegetarians. Science says that the intestine of a human being is 33 feet. The intestine of a carnivore is 12 feet. Now, meat, as everybody knows, decomposes much faster than vegetables. So, in the carnivore's digestive system, it is in through 12 feet and out. But for a human being, the time taken is much longer. And as a result of it, now everybody says that, meat is not healthy. This is the reason behind it. Unfortunately, Indians have, since a very, very, very long time, most unfortunately, they have said, they have put down laws, they've put down things, they've said, do this, do this, do this. Okay. But they've never bothered to explain why it should be done. Okay. Take COVID, for instance. Now everybody is talking about social distancing, covering your face with a mask, washing your hands endlessly, if I may put it, with sanitizers. In olden times, if somebody went out of the house and they came back, they had to wash their mouth, their face, their hands, and their legs before they got it. Every old traditional Indian house has a water faucet outside the house just for this. Now, World Health Organizations are saying, yes, this is what has to be done. The tragedy is that now India as a nation has not been able to convey its soft power worldwide. And that is a huge loss for India and India standing in the world pantheon. And it is a loss for the world also, because they are losing out on something very good for them. It's like the sun. Okay, the sun rises in the sky, it falls on everybody. You cannot say that sunlight is good for it's good for me, but it's bad for you. No. So there are certain things, there are certain basic premises which are good for everybody, irrespective of even for animals. 6 months of sunlessness is going to kill the flora and the fauna, and not just human beings. You read of suicides going up in the land of the midnight suns. That's because of that. So there's something called general good, and unless we agree that there is a general good, number one, and we also say that this is why it is called the general good, it's just going to be, it's always going to be, I am better than you, I am greater than you, or you are less than me. And it's just going to go round and round in circles, which is what is happening right now. Aditya.
The another concept is the science. Now, we all know, you and I have discussed that how most of the traditions of the natives of India have been very, very scientific, including pranayam or chanting of mantras loudly. Now, when it comes to the Western countries, this science is being used to create technology and tools generally. But the science, as a usual, like it has become a political subject matter. that
Mm.
it is scientific and therefore everything must be accepted, and but relevant sections are taken out. Like for example, the climate change is a result of slaughter of animals for food, and then the entire chain that goes with that: air conditioning, transportation. People do not know that the assembly production started from a slaughterhouse. That was the motivation behind Henry Ford's idea of assembly line production, from a slaughterhouse. So the meat industry in the US or Western countries have been the major cause of Amazon forest deforestation drives.
Mhm.
And also in India is one of the largest exporters from Punjab, state of India, of beef, and these have caused uncontrolled it is a scientific theory. So science has been used very selectively.
Mm.
Whatever helps the Abrahamic faith process is a science. Rest everything is not a science. In India also the same mindset is there. The Western science, they all talk about Western science, but they will not see the Indian science. In fact, most of the major, if you look at the even the relativity theory of Einstein, it is way before discussed by Kanad. Way before. Kanad was one of the first proponents. We have also, so the when you talk about the scientific mindset, we, instead of, the world respects original thoughts and original ideas. And I'll quote one of the speeches of Prime Minister Modi. He said, in a joking way, told the US Congress in 2015 that so far we have not tried to patent yoga, because then the entire America has to pay taxes, okay, on yoga.
Mm.
So
Mm.
far we have not done it. It's our mercy to them. He said it, so it is on the show that yoga is from India, coming from India.
Mm.
Before that, Indira Gandhi also said, Ronald Reagan, in a very public speech, Indira Gandhi said that I come from a very old land and you are a very new country. Now, Ronald Reagan was like 6 feet 2 inches tall, or a little taller than that. Maybe I don't know the exact height. Indira Gandhi was short height, but
Mm.
Ronald Reagan looked so small. Check out on YouTube that speech on, I think, 82 or something is there, and that he looked so small. So why Indians look to the West for science when they have their own leaders have been scientific forever?
Let's take science at its most basic thing. Okay, I go to a room. The room is dark. I press down a switch. Okay, and tuck, the light comes. Now, maybe for I hate using this word, but for pagan, because pagans and paganism is something which I love and respect. But I'm talking about the modern parlance of the word pagan. Now, for a pagan, it's like magic. You see, it's like, something to challenge the sun, because as far as he knows it, once the sun sets till the sun rises in the next morning, it's dark. You might get moonlight, you might get starlight, but there is no light like you see in a lamp, okay, in an electric lamp. Actually, what happens, I've just pressed the switch, but electrical energy gets transferred into light energy. West has said that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can change forms. Okay. Take the case of the cell phone. You have this little thing, or maybe not so little thing in your hand, and you can see people. It's like you can do video calls, you can do so many things. Is it magic? You're sitting in the US, I can see you in this little instrument. So is it magic? Is it something unbelievable, or is it science? So the thing is that unfortunately, Indians do not have the language, the understanding, and most of all, the knowledge to express what they have. Okay, there is a huge, um, let's say, field of knowledge in India which is untapped. One of the biggest problems is that most of the knowledge is in Sanskrit, and Indians have um, forgotten to learn Sanskrit. That's a very interesting point which you brought out in your book. The curse of the natives, right? Is it natives?
Yeah.
Where you said you've said that they have changed the language. You see, now one thing is we have the language. I mean, we have the knowledge, but we do not know how to use it. We know how to use it locally in little pockets, but not generally. Okay, and let's talk about Brahmastra, which is one of the arrows used in warfare. Okay, in both Ramayana and Mahabharata. Brahmastra, the killing power of Brahmastra is huge. Okay, and the Brahmastra should be released only if certain conditions are met, and it is actually the very last option. Now, tell me, is not the Brahmastra very much like a nuclear bomb? The words are different. This is Brahmastra in Sanskrit. This is nuclear bomb in English. But if you look at the activity, if you look at the how it works, and if you look at the result, it is the same. But we do not have, and as I told you, Aditya, we're terrified. We're terrified. We are scared. We're scared to, we're scared to depend on ourselves. We're scared to say that we have this wealth because we've been told for ages that look, what you have is not wealth. What you have is what you think is wealth. See, it's like the value of gold. If the world says gold is worth nothing, actually, if you look at the properties of silver and the properties of gold, the properties of silver and platinum are far better than the properties of gold. But why is it that you speak about a gold standard? So we're not dependent on ourselves. We're always looking over somebody's shoulder. We're copying. And whenever anybody copies anything, it will only be a second best. It will not be the original. There's also one more problem, Aditya. You take Indian education. I'm talking about contemporary Indian education. What does everybody say? What does every parent, every teacher say? Every parent and every teacher tells the kids, oh, you must think for yourself. You must not mug up things. You must not study things by rote. Okay? You must use your brains. You must analyze and stuff like that. That's what they tell the child. Okay? But the moment the child starts to think for itself, it is like, no. And the whole system, I call parenthood also a system. The system of parenthood, the system of education, the system of teachers come down like a ton of bricks on the kids, saying, no. I have seen kids who are brilliant when they are in kindergarten, first standard, first grade to, let's say, about fifth grade. By about seventh grade, you see them, you see their questioning power, you see their intelligence being, coming down slightly. And they are discouraged because nobody takes them seriously. They want these people to, you say you want people to be, students to be different, to be independent, to think for themselves. But the moment they do it, you fall on them like a ton of bricks. Please believe me, Aditya, if it is a question of what you say and what you do has primacy. And it also, I'm very sad to say that, it also smacks of hypocrisy. What you say is one thing, what you think, if you think, is something else, what you do is something else. Now, this is in the field of ideas. In actual practical life, what have we done to ourselves? We have said mind versus body versus spirit. This is, it makes me so frustrated and angry when I see this. Okay, because we are a person. Look at our Vedas. Our Vedas are so much in sync with what is good on earth. Okay, you say that Prithvi Sasyashalini, the earth should be fruitful, and the rain should come on the time, the heat should come on the time, and during according to seasons, and that is when earth will produce enough and more for every human being, for every animal. Because please, I do not think that the earth is a stupid clod of, let's say, sand, or earth, which does not know how to. Because look at this, look at how long the earth has survived. We have survived the ice age. Dinosaurs didn't survive, but then look at, look at cockroaches have survived. In fact, cockroaches have survived forever. So you see, so the earth has a self-regulating system in itself. As long as human beings don't interfere too much with it, it will manage. And the science, because science is a branch of knowledge, right? Science is not something which drops out from the sky. And this branch of knowledge is something which, anything which furthers, which betters life, is science. And just because and there's another huge problem with Indians. I do not know if it is a super ego or super humility. I haven't made up my mind about this. Indians are like, like we have a history of millions of years. So, like when we were, like you said, rightly, believe me, that, when the West was in diapers, we were building, things like the Kailash temple and all that. Yes. But so what? Does that not make our fall greater? See, somebody falls from ground level, somebody falls from 5 feet height, somebody falls from 10,000 feet height. So isn't the 10,000 feet height worse? And I think it's time we stopped patting ourselves on our backs and saying that, oh, we are great. Okay? We were great. We are actually, to use it, to speak in terms of science, you have half mv squared, I remember from my school days, which is kinetic energy, and mgh, which is potential energy, which is the mass into height into gravity, if I'm not mistaken. I've written a lot of impositions, so I'm pretty sure I'm on solid ground. And we are fantastic as far as potential energy is concerned. But as far as kinetic energy is concerned, as far as we have knowledge of science, but as far as the application of science is concerned, we are way below par. And that we have to rectify. We have to look at it as a mistake and not just brush over it and say, oh, it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. No. I mean, everybody, I've read so many pieces about modern India, how India has to be and things like that. Look, India, the world actually, is just a collection of a lot of people, right? People of India, people of China, people of America, people of UK, people of the Netherlands, so many places. And it's just a collection of people. It's a sum total of people. Like that, India, as I'm not talking about Bharata Khande, Jambu, Dweepe, Meroho. I'm talking about the present political India. As far as the present political India is concerned, we are made up of X number of people, okay? So each one of us have to think that, look, this is what I am. You have to think, not listen. We've listened far too long. So that, when you listen, when you hear, it's okay, hear everybody. Then think, cogitate. What is so and so saying? Why is so and so saying that? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it maybe it's half right, half wrong? How can I better it? How can I learn more? Then you act. Instead of which we become a very obedient nation, extremely obedient. And that I don't think is going in the right way. Aditya.
No, very well put, actually, very, very concisely put, because the science and the native cultures were scientific. If you look at the Native American culture and native culture of Europe, Romani, great example,
Mm,
Romani people,
mm,
and they were following the ancient Greek culture, which is nothing but Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma,
mm,
including their deity's name in southern France is called Sarai Kali. They were worshipping Kali, and it's
mm,
called Saraswati the Kali. So,
mm,
and the image is also Inanna's image, Esther's image, which is nothing but
mm,
Durga's image. The same
mm,
Trishul, same lion. Like, you
mm,
cannot have this similarity like in through imagination. They saw somewhere
mm.
else, and you have beautiful picture in the back, similar to that.
Ah, yes.
So my next point is, you mentioned the word paganism,
Mm,
heathen, infidel,
mm,
and
mm,
the we call it Georges. There's another word,
mm.
Georges, is used, and also the word is kafir. All these words are together used, and all are used to denigrate the natives. And
Mm,
I am in not way. I don't want to comment on anybody's faith, but we just talk about us.
mm,
People use it on us, but
mm,
we never question them. Why?
mm, mm,
We never open a mouth. And American native saying is that the duck which quacks the loudest gets the cracker. That's a Native American saying. They say we lost our country because we did not oppose much. These are
true.
Native Americans are saying, and there are still reservations, and there is a separate U.S. government of the natives. There.
Uh-huh.
America has two presidents. Most of the world doesn't know. We only talk about the president sitting in the White House, D.C. That's the first
Mm,
13 colonies
mm,
of the Americans.
mm,
But there is a second
mm,
president, which is called the
mm,
president of the Native Americans. So, and
mm,
that man doesn't even have the money to fly a plane. Okay.
mm,
So the security is
mm.
also given by the federal agencies. Now, what I'm trying to say is that why don't we question all these titles given to us?
Actually, Aditya, with apologies to you, I am a proud, happy, contented, pagan, heathen, kafir, whatever be the labels that they give me. Because if they call me all, if they stick all these labels on me because of my beliefs and my way of life, I am happy. I do not want to conform. I do not want their approval. I'm quite happy as a, as a, vernacular, if I can say so, human being. I'm thrilled to be that. Okay, I don't want to be part of the accepted, the so-called civilized, because if civilization, this is a very, 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 very very interesting thing. Why is it that nobody talks about Rwanda? Are they not human beings there? In Afghanistan, if there was no lithium, how many people would be interested about human rights? So human rights are not applicable in Rwanda. Human rights are not applicable in places where there is no benefit. There is no financial benefit. Now I'll tell you two things which I find about India. India in the past had made it very clear that dhanam dhanyam bahuputra labham. Okay, economics, making of wealth was accepted. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. In a righteous way, you make wealth. Okay. Now, what has happened is we don't create wealth. It's actually like rubbish is handled in many countries. You take your rubbish in a bag and put it in your neighbor's yard. So your yard is clean. Okay. Instead of rubbish, we are doing this with poverty. We are taking our poverty, putting it there. So actual the wealth which should be created, okay, is not created. It is just a redistribution of wealth. And I'm telling you one thing: this, while this is one of the most, it's ironical, because socialism, communism sounds so good. Okay, it is like you're taking care of the underdog. The question is, the question is, who is paying to take care of the underdog? Nothing is free, Aditya. So while it sounds so nice, some people have control over a lot of resources. This is what is happening, not just in India, worldwide. Now, the second thing, which is, well, which is, this is even more sensitive. Uh, Indians are considered to be extremely peace loving. Okay. If you take the Mahabharata, you will find Lord Krishna going to the Kuru Sabha to talk about about a compromise solution. He first goes and says, there are 5 Pandavas, give them 5 places to rule. Then he says, give them 1 place. Then he says, give them villages, 5 villages. Then he says 5 houses. Then he says 1 house in the entire land of Hastinapura. Please give the Pandavas that as their due. And then Suyodhana, son of Dhritarashtra, says, no, we will not give them land even to stick a pin. Okay. And it is then that Krishna comes back, knowing that Mahabharata war is inevitable. Okay. Now, Krishna tried his best to avoid the war. But please note, Krishna did not say, okay, fine, the Kauravas are intransigent. So why don't you do, Kunti was his aunt. So why don't you come to Dwaraka? Stay with me. He didn't say that. He opted for war. The Pandavas thought that they were fighting for what is their due. Now this is a very sensitive subject. Now take the Indian War of Independence, okay, from the Brits. We got independence on August 15th, 1947. Everybody says that India had a very non-violent bid for independence. Please look at the number of people who died in the partition. It was not India versus Britain in the conventional sense of the war, but it certainly was not non-violent. If by violence you mean murder, you mean rape, you mean loss of property, you mean loss of dignity more than anything else, India certainly did not have a non-violent bid for independence. As long as we cover up, we paper up the past, okay, we say only pleasant things. We don't look at truths. We look at only what is pleasing to the eye. We look at perception. So what happens is, many times truth is wonderful, many times truth is horrible. Truth has, it depends on the situation. But because we don't want to create an issue, because we don't want to be seen as asking for our rights, we push the truth aside and we stick with perceptions. And perceptions can always be manipulated. Perceptions are always manipulated. Perceptions can be wrong. Okay. And you very interestingly said about a saying. In my mother tongue, Malayalam, there is a saying which is Karaina Kunjine Pal Ullu, which means only that baby who cries gets fed milk. We have we have shut up for too long. We have accepted whatever happens. Please. And the sad thing is, many of the things, the unfortunate things which have happened for us has been by us. That is a tragedy. Unless unless we it's like first look at the mirror. First look at the mirror. You might have some features which are nice, some which are horrible and ugly, but learn to look first. Learn, see what is happening, cogitate, then try and change it. As long as we say that, oh, mirror, mirror on the wall, we are the fairest of them all, the mirror is going to tell you the truth. We are not going to look at the mirror. We're not going to look. We are going to look at mirrors which are different. Not total reflection mirrors. You see, we are going to Photoshop in the mirrors. I mean, if you know what I mean. And then we are going to make it all nice. So till we actually look, like I said, India's potential energy is fabulous. Still, we have survived as a people. Our culture has survived. Please, I hate people who say that, oh, Indian culture is under threat, and we are going to we are all going to become people of other religions. I mean, I think they're cowards and they're fools and they're they're fear mongering. I don't believe that. Look around you. I mean, I remember when Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana was coming on TV. Okay, this wonderful blend of science and what shall I say, and science and hereditary stuff, which I was actually watching. I was watching the Ramayana in a friend's house, and the grandmother came in the morning, and she came with a lamp, and she did this to the arati, as you know. She did reverence to the TV, and she put the lamp aside, and then she sat down and watched the serial. It was a half an hour serial. So after the serial, I went and asked her in Hindi. I asked her, why did you do this? So she said, that is Ramji. That is Ram. God Ram is coming in the TV, and I am worshipping him. As long as this attitude is there, nobody told her to do it. She did it. You see, when we go past temples or any places of worship, we do this. Why? Nobody's asking us to. It's in our DNA. Look at, I mean, rightly, because we've been so trusting, because we've been so friendly, we've been so welcoming. Lots of people have come in, and as you again said in your book, somebody had the religious book. I mean, somebody came with the religious book, and we had the land, and we found that later on they had the land and we had the religious book. So you run a risk of that, but then for that you have to teach people that you do not take nonsense. You do not initiate violence. Equally, you do not put up with violence also. Because when you put up with violence, first of all, those people think that, okay, fine, like be violent on them, and then we will get anything passed. PASSED, passed. Okay. And the other thing is that there's no defense. It's like you left the doors of your psyche open. Any fellow can come in and take over. You're stuck because if you don't think your land, your culture is worth preserving, why should somebody else do it for you? Are we so stupid? Or are we like Pollyanna, who expects the best thing to happen? Doesn't work that way, Aditya.
Very, very strongly put, Lakshmiji. Very, very well put. Uh, One last question I have. The natives of every land have given so much.
Mm,
Before the 6th century, there was people were living that wars have always been there in human history for
mm,
greed, primarily for greed. The secondly, for sometimes the wars have been fought for dharma also, which is
mm,
to bring the good values to the society,
mm,
not to acquire the land and just exploit it. But so
mm,
in the from the 6th century onwards, we have seen the
mm,
destruction of the world, complete
mm,
destruction, like the
mm,
ancient Persian culture,
mm,
beautiful culture, Zoroastrian, connected to
mm,
Bharat,
mm,
vanished.
mm,
There was no fight. It was the richest land during that time, very rich.
mm, mm,
The neighborhoods of India vanished. American native cultures vanished, all vanished. Only 5
mm,
million left, and that
mm.
too mixed up with the other faiths. South American is a story which will bring tears to every person who worries about human rights. What
Mhm.
happened in South America? 100 to 200 million natives killed, and by diseases brought from Europe and other things, colonial. Hindus, the dharma calls them to question all these atrocities on the natives, because Hindus are the only largest group of natives left on the planet, original thinkers, original cultures. But we are not questioning anyone. We are not, again, similar question to that. We should be the biggest protector of human rights across the world. We should be like talking about natives in North America, natives in South America, natives in Europe. In fact, 2016, Sushma Swaraj was the first Indian politician to recognize Romani
Mm,
people as coming from
mm,
India. And
mm.
till date, we have not recognized them as officially descendants of India. There are 40 million Romani people in North America, South America, Australia, and Europe, and total 40 million. It will, the world will be so thankful to India what Mahatma Gandhi did for South Africans. If today we as Hindus stand up for Yazidis, Kurds in Turkey, natives of North America, natives of South America, natives of Europe, which are still practicing Celtic, which is again connected to Dharma, ancient Greek religions, again connected to Dharma, and also other people in China and other places. Why we are not doing it? We are only focused on reactions. American, so why were we just reacting? Why not proactively moving forward based on the strength of our dharma? That we are here to protect everybody's rights.
Aditya, the moment you react, as it's there in, like you said, it's there in the word itself. React. Somebody does something, the narrative is with them. We react to that, which means we are always caught backfooted. We are defending things. We don't just go and say, "Look, this is how it is." And see this what shall I say, the Vishal Manaskata, the large heartedness of Hindus. And believe me, if anybody looks at the word Hindu, okay, uh, Ha stands for the sun, Hindu stands for the moon. Okay, this was told to me by a Pandit called Irindoli. Ha stands for the sun, and Hindu stands for the moon. And Hindu is anything which is under the sun and the moon. So you cannot push people away. We can and we should push wrongdoings away, not people, because people are not born of the faith which is prevalent here and the faith which you and I believe. It doesn't matter. See, look, it's Hinduism is it's such a huge area. It's like actually Hinduism, if you want to compare it to anything, is like Mother Earth. There's space for everybody. There's space for everybody and everything. The only thing is when a people um, try to conquer another set of people, then there's a conflict. And when there is such a conflict, you don't tie your hands back and just sit there like sitting ducks. Okay, we don't say that, oh, we are very non-violent, so hit us on our cheek and then we'll show you the other cheek. We don't say that. We don't say that. We don't go around hitting people on their cheek. But certainly, I hope that every Indian, not just every Indian, every human being, I sincerely hope and pray that any human being who gets slapped on his or her cheek has the gumption to give it back in such a way that the second slap does not come. There is again a saying in my language which is "Nananyadattu kulikirudhu," which means don't dig where the sand is soft. So if you yield, please understand, in this universe, on this earth, there are good people and bad people. Okay? People are considered to be bad because they do things which are not beneficial to everybody. They try to misbehave. Okay? And what happens is that when bad people and their actions are rampant, without checks, without questioning, the good people have already lost out. They've already lost out. It's like you can't compromise with them. Compromise means, somebody making an adjustment. I mean, group A making an adjustment and group B making an adjustment. There are certain norms which are universal, okay? You don't steal, you don't kill, right? You don't rape. All these are all things which are, I think, are true, and it should be held as something welcome by everybody. And you find person or people who are going against that, against those tenets, then you have to defend them, you have to fight them. If you do not fight them, you're mutely agreeing with them. By omission, not commission, you're furthering their cause. And what is actually hurting the world today is not more than the fringe elements who are pretty bad in every religion. What is really hurting the world today is the envy and the lackadaisical reaction of the, unfortunately, silent majority. It is only when the silent majority learn to speak and learn to speak sense that they will no longer be silent, and it will be the majority in that. Everybody loves talking about democracy. Democracy is probably, as of now, the best political system. I personally think we have to devise better systems. But even for democracy to happen, the silent majority has to get activated. The silent majority has to protest when things are done against it. Like you said, if you want to be honored, even in let us say, even in a book like The Godfather. I know it's a very inappropriate example, but still, let me have my fun. It is the Godfather is considered to be the Godfather because he takes care of people. He takes care of less powerful people. If India wants the kind of relevance which our tradition and history and our potential, like I spoke of, if India wants that, India better learn to stick up for what is right, not abstain from voting, but say that this is right, this is wrong. Give your reasons. Once you give your reasons, then there's no question of, there's no question of India being stubborn and saying, this is what. No. Give you reasons. People are reasonable. People listen to reason. I have faith in people. Still, still, this world is today functioning because of the vast majority of decent people who are part of the silent majority, and certainly not because of the vociferous people who think that they rule the world. It is a basic goodness in human beings which is making this whole system run. That's what I feel, Aditya.
So well put it. And I think, it's a very emotional message also for people, that unless you like, if you want to help yourself, help others. Very simple. The Vedic culture is dadati pratigranati, means
Correct.
first you give, then you accept.
Yes.
And that has
Yes.
been the traditional Vedic culture. It's not coming from the West, it's a Hindu culture. You first give, don't just ask, you first give. And that is also the concept of purushartha, that you serve Vishnu or Shiva, Parvati or Lakshmi will automatically favor you, because she is
Yes.
very loyal to Shiva. Parvati is loyal to Shiva, and Lakshmi is loyal to Narayan. So you serve
Yes.
Narayan or Shiva, automatically you will have wealth. Again, the concept of dadati, give. We are the only culture in the world which talks about don't ask anything from Bhagavan. Only culture in the world. We always say, what can I do for you today? You know,
Mm.
totally different culture. Same as Bhagavan. He's saying, what can I do for you? The concept of begging even from Bhagavan is not there. And now we are looking to the West for everything else. And or Indians living in the USA are also doing the same mistake. So we have to learn from our essential elements of our culture, and then we can start making a difference. Otherwise, we won't make a difference, whether it's a politics or religion or science or culture, because the humanity, the basic concept of humanity, Manav Vad, is the concept coming from Manu. The Manu Samhita is all about protecting humanism, or Manav, protecting the rights of Manav, including the Man, the pride of human. The pride of human is in giving. Tell me any rich man, he may have billions of dollars, but he feels happy when he makes a charity. So if the happiness was coming from giving a charity, why not do it in the first place? So my whole concept is that is a core concept of capitalism also. Capitalism means providing your goods and services first, and then you get the money. This is the normal
Exactly.
cycle of every human experience. So
Exactly.
we have forgotten this essential aspect of dadati, and we are talking to
Yes.
the whole world about everything else, and we are claiming we have this, that, everything else, and
Oh,
basic
oh,
things we have forgotten.
yes. Yes. You're right. You're absolutely right.
What you have to
I
add on?
mean, it's rigorous actually.
We have to look
See?
into our mirror and say who we are. Are we from
Exactly.
children of Darwin? I always say
Yes.
Darwin's father was monkey, mine was not, but I know my father. So but the point is that when we look in
Uh,
the mirror and we say we are Sanatani, it's the
uh,
biggest joke. We don't follow simple principles here, which
yes.
is ingrained in our Shastra.
Yes. And also, Aditya, people like to keep it complicated because then you can control the narrative, right?
Yeah,
Actually, Sanatan Dharma is the easiest to follow. A 10-year-old kid can understand.
true.
See?
So
But the
like,
people who teach and the people who learn, I mean, the people who know and the people who teach are very less.
all our sages, if you look at the people who searched Vrindavan, people who Shankaracharya who set up Sharda Peeth, we always complain we don't have the money, others have money. Shankaracharya was walking on the foot from Kerala to Amarkantak, and while doing that, he was teaching and then going. Nobody was after money. People were
Yes.
after the good things, and and I'm telling you, many of the American corporations successful because of that. Those entrepreneurs, they were focused on giving something to the world.
Hmm.
In return, they got money, but they were
Mm,
not expecting. Most of the entrepreneurs, if you ask them, or most
mm,
successful people, they never
mm,
knew they will be successful.
mm,
It just came because of their
mm,
good work. And
mm.
now we belong to the oldest culture of the world. And we are today asking a country of 6 million people, Israel, that give us this, give us that, give us that, give us this. And we forget Aryabhatta, we forget Brahmagupta, we forget Vyasdev, we forgot Adi Shankaracharya. And if you go to Rishikesh, a bigger, I won't name anything, name people, but a lot of big scientists from Israel are doing meditation in Rishikesh.
Mm.
I know them personally. And these guys have done amazing work. They're living incognito there, getting inspired from Brahma Vidya and performing.
Exactly.
And we are here trying to go to New York to see the, on the New Year Eve, trying to see the ball drop and the New Year starts. Like, what have we become right now?
Actually, things will be in balance in India, I would say, Aditya, when we are in a position to say that, look, we have, take, you know, and not go around with a begging bowl.
You know, my mother, my father died at a very early age, and my mother, whenever she met anyone, gave
Huh,
something,
huh,
did not keep, gave. That
huh,
was her culture.
huh.
And so, but I've seen that from my mother.
Mm,
Like that is the culture in us also. See, the point which I'm trying to say is that when we talk about Sanatan Dharma, the beauty of Sanatan Dharma increases when we actually practice it.
yes,
And
of course.
it's not about you, it's about the whole culture shines. That yes,
Of
this
course.
man is a genuine man. You can talk to this guy.
Mm, of
So,
course.
do you want to add anything? Otherwise, we'll end the show. It's already past the hour, and people are already want to go.
No, I think let us hope that good sense prevails in everybody, and that we learn to treat this earth as ours, your home, my home, their home, everybody's home, and that we become house proud people. So we become, we love the earth and we want to keep it in the best way possible. When that happens, there'll be no climate change, no blah blah blah. It'll be wonderful. Thank you,
Thank you.
Aditya, for having me on my show. Namaste.
Thank you so much, and thank you all the viewers for watching. Do comment, let us know your feedback, and let me know what you feel. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
विचित्रपदमर्थवतः